Hello guys, and welcome to this Volkswizard video. Now, it's not every day I get to drive a new model of GTI for the first time, but today is one of those days. I'm on my way to drive the new Polo GTI. Now, when I made the original GTI video at Cheltenham Volkswagen, I said to the guys there, can I come down and drive your Polo GTI whenever it arrives? And they said, of course you can. But unfortunately, that car got sold and it wasn't possible. Luckily, in the meantime, TL Derby Volkswagen in Burton-on-Trent, Staffordshire said, we've got a car physically here. Would you like to come down and make a video? I said, of course I would. Well, the big question is, am I going to get there and think I should have just bought one of those instead of my GTI? Because it's a more rounded, better equipped car, and you can get an automatic gearbox, which makes it more usable. Well, without any further ado, let's get ourselves up to Burton-on-Trent and see if the Polo GTI is the car I should have bought. Hello guys, here I am with the brand new 2018 Polo GTI, and I've got Joe Knight, sales executive from TL Derby Volkswagen in Burton-on-Trent, to show me all around it. So tell us a bit about the car, Joe.
Right, so this is a Polo GTI Plus, so it's the top of the range model. It's got the 18-inch Brescia alloy wheels. It's in flash red. Unfortunately, you can't actually get flash red with the black roof anymore, which is a bit of a disappointment because I would have loved that. It would look really smart. The tinted rear windows, which is part of the Plus package. The LED front lights. You also get the options of a winter pack, which this car's got, a sat nav, which is great. The reason I had the sat nav as well is so I can show the full potential of the active info display, which is also a standard fit on the Plus model. So you can have the sat nav on a full screen as well, which is great. It's got the Jacaro cloth inside, which we'll show you in a moment.
Like the GTI, the Golf 7 GTI tartan.
It's the same tartan as in both. That's the earlier tartan, I believe. I think
I've been robbed.
Have you? I've got the new one, I'll show you mine in a minute. But yeah, the big thing, obviously, I think the 18-inch wheels really set the car off. Yeah. I have spec'd it as I would have done if I'd have bought the car.
So they're Brescias?
They're Brescia wheels, they're an 18-inch version.
19-inch on the Golf, 18-inch on the Polo.
Yeah, they're the 18-inch version. Obviously, they've really changed the design language of this new Polo, especially at the front end. It's a really radically different look for the new Polo. You've got really sharp character lines running down the bonnet. You've got the stripe across the front, which is similar to the new Arteon, and again, what Volkswagen are trying to capture their new design language. And obviously, you've also got the adaptive cruise control radar built into the VW badge. It's a 2D badge rather than a 3D badge.
Okay, here we are inside the brand new Polo GTI. I'm with Joe still, and Joe's going to show us around the technology that this car's got.
Yeah, so this is the active info display. I'll start with this because this is the main feature and the thing that everybody's talking about. So this is the main screen, how I have it normally when I'm driving around. You obviously got the rev counter on the left, speedo on the right. The nice thing is when you rev the car, it glows red. And obviously you can probably hear the pops from the exhaust as well. The option as well is if you say you've got somewhere set as a destination, you can actually have the map on full view. If you click the view button here, it takes it to a full screen sat nav system. Obviously it still tells you what gear you're in and what speed you're doing, and also your odometer and trip meter as well, and also lets you know if there's any seat belts in the back that aren't plugged in if someone's sat there. It's telling me my seat belt's not plugged in at the moment, which is obviously a good thing. You need one in this car. You've also got the compass at the top, the outside temperature, and also it tells you what driving mode you're in. I've currently got it individual, which is what the little star is on there. You can also zoom in and out of the map as pretty far. I think you can show the whole of the UK and Europe. I'll just keep going out just so you can see the high resolution screen that you get with a car. So I'm going pretty far out now. So there's London, and there's Europe. And there's the rest of us. So you can pretty much get the globe on it. It's a very impressive screen. It's much higher resolution than what you get in the Golf and the Arteon and the Passat at the moment, which is obviously something they've really got to catch up with quickly, obviously with the Polo being a smaller car.
So can you not get full screen nav in Golf 7.5 then?
You can't, no. You can only shrink the dials down to a smaller size to have the maps. It's size-wise it's still very impressive, but obviously on the Polo you can have the full screen on there, and also there's another view which shows you how much fuel you've used, the date and time, how much fuel you've got left in the tank, and how many miles you've done. You can change what you want on there. You can have it set how you want it.
That's driving data.
That's driving data essentially. Yeah, that's it. So, and obviously onto the screen you get the same screen. It's the identical screen to what you get in a Mark 7.5 Golf. It comes up with a little GTI insignia when you switch the engine on and off as well, which is nice. And also the font, if you go onto radio, is all in red like the Golf GTI as well, whereas on the lesser Polos it's in like a blue hue as well on there. Obviously you can have the map on this screen by flipping this little button on here. It's still got the sensor on the bottom which allows you to bring the menu up when you need it.
Gesture control.
Yeah, you can move it out of the way. Obviously, it's got Apple CarPlay, which I find invaluable now. I struggle to live without it now.
Is that an extra though?
It's a standard fit on all Polos, apart from the S model now. So they're really getting into the digital age with this car. I think they need to make the Polo as funky as they can, because it needs to appeal to the younger market. They're the people that are buying this car at the minute. We've had a lot more interest, especially with the free insurance offers that are available on the cars as well. We've got a lot of younger buyers. They need this stuff. They can't live without. I can't live without it. You know, that's all I know. I've been brought up with the technology, and obviously I crave it. So with Apple CarPlay, obviously you've got all your Apple Music. If you've got Android Auto, you can have Google Play Music and Spotify as well. So you want your music in the car, and obviously we all want it now, don't we? So with having it in here, obviously you can stream through the car. You can use the button on here to activate Siri, as you can see on there.
Right.
Or you can use this button on the screen. I tend to find when you're driving, that one's easier. Just press and hold it on there, and it allows you to access Siri, so you can choose any song you want, call whoever you want, and text whoever you want as well. So obviously music on here, you can flick through all the menus. I've got all my music on there, my For You playlists now playing. And the sound system, the only thing I'm disappointed about the UK spec Polo GTI is you can't get it with the Beat sound system. I would have really liked that as an option on the car. It is on the European models, and I'm hoping they do bring it out on the model year change in the end of July.
Sorry, they can be a bit late with bringing a sound system, can't they?
Yeah, I think they want to make sure they get it right for the UK market, because I think we're the pickiest of the bunch really with cars. We like things how we like it. We like the big wheels, we like the style, and we like the option, but I think they want to make sure they get it right before they bring it to the UK. The nice thing about this car is it's got two-zone climate control as well. It is an option on the car on Plus and normal GTI models, but I think it is invaluable. Obviously the heated seats are just down here. Obviously it's an auto setting as well, so I tend to leave it on 20 degrees auto. It just keeps the car at a nice temperature rather than turning it hot, cold all the time. And obviously you can set where you want the direction of the air to come through.
So climate control is an option, full stop?
Full stop on all Polo, yeah.
So dual climate isn't another option? Is that part of the standard climate option?
Sorry, say that again for me.
On the up, you got just Climatronic as an option.
Yeah.
But you can't have dual zone. Can this have just climate control?
No, you have to have it as a dual. The option is the dual zone only. Sorry, okay. Yeah. And also another thing as well, obviously the driving modes. This is new to Polo as well. The previous one used to have a sport button on the dashboard, which you press, it'd make a bit more noise and it'd make the suspension really hard. With the mode button on this car, it's the same as the Golfs.
Wow. So that's the first then for a Polo.
You've got Eco, which is a mode I haven't really exercised yet. Normal mode, which is factory settings basically. The car's at optimum for economy and obviously for drive as well. And I'll click back onto it. You've also got the Sport, which gives you a bit more noise through the cabin through an actuator behind the dashboard, firms up the suspension, makes the steering more weightier. And just gives it a bit more of an exhaust note. You tend to find it pops more when the gearbox is in Sport as it does when it's in the normal mode. It seems to pop on the overrun a bit more.
I like individual modes.
So individual mode, this shows you the customization that you can do with how you want the car to drive. So you've got the option of steering, you've got normal and Sport, drive, normal, Sport and Eco. ACC, which is the adaptive cruise control, you've got Eco, Sport and normal. Air conditioning, Eco or normal. Engine sound, Sport, Eco or normal as well, and obviously the big one, which is the Sport Select suspension. It's a simpler version of what the DCC is on the Golf GTI. It's not quite as advanced. You haven't got a comfort setting, for example, but you have got normal and Sport. I tend to find on UK roads with all the potholes and obviously the bumps and everything, I tend to find that leaving it in individual mode with most things on Sport but the suspension on normal really suits the car, and the ride is much more compliant and much more enjoyable to enjoy on the road in the UK, as we know how bad the roads are. So
how much extra is the Sport Select suspension?
It's standard fit.
Really?
Yeah, it's a standard fit on Polo. So yeah, you can't have it as an option on either the GTI or the GTI Plus. It just comes with the car.
On the GTI?
There was a few people weren't sure, because in certain countries you have to spec it as an option, but in the UK they've put it as a standard fit. Maybe they had a drive on some of our roads and realised we needed it, so more than we needed the Beat sound system, who knows. But yeah, I mean that's generally the interior, the big changes. The nice thing I like about the new Polo is you get a sunglasses holder as well, which I find invaluable.
Well, that's been in Golf for ages.
Yes, on Polo it wasn't in there. It was the first Polo to have it. It's great because I always end up sitting on my sunglasses and breaking them, and so I never had expensive ones. But now I can have some Ray-Bans, stick them in there, and all sorted. So
you probably leave them in there when you sell the car.
That's it. I've done that before. I had to ring a customer up and say I've left my glasses in the car, or a pen, or a phone, or something like that. So yeah.
I think it's time for me to don my sunglasses now and have a go. So
tentatively giving you the keys.
Thank you.
There you go. Enjoy yourself.
You've run it in now, haven't you? So
it's done about 400. It's done 450 miles, so it's getting there. It's on its way to being running, I'd say. But I'm sure you're going to loosen up a little bit more out today on the road. So brilliant.
Okay, then, well,
enjoy.
Without any further ado, let's go and drive the new Polo GTI. Okay guys, here we are behind the wheel of the new Polo GTI. Now, the time with this car is pretty limited because we've done a lot of photos for a magazine and tried to make a video, but I'll do what I can in the time available. The first thing is, somebody asked what the car was like accelerating up a slip road or down a slip road onto a motorway and what refinement was like. So here we are joining the A38. We can get those two things done in one. So make sure I'm on the right side of the road, yeah. So it's a downhill slip road, so I'll wait till we level off a bit, but I think it's a 70 here, so we're doing 45 now. Fourth, yeah, merged with the traffic. Well, it's 200 horsepower in a very relatively small light car, so yeah, it's pretty good. As for refinement, well, we're doing 70 now, bang on. Bit of wind noise. There's a little bit of tyre noise as well, probably because it's on relatively low profile 18s, so it might be a bit quieter if it's running the standard 17s, although they are the pretty unattractive Parker wheels. These are the Brescia wheels, which look a lot better. So yeah, in that respect, I think it's acceptable. It's not too noisy. I've heard quieter, but it's almost like a Golf, but probably not. In every other respect, it's very Golf-like. This has got a lot of the Mark 8 tech because the Mark 8's due soon, so if this was Mark 7 tech, it would be so far behind the Mark 8 when it came out that they've decided to chuck a load of Mark 8 tech in this car already, and it feels very impressive. Probably more so than Mark 7 Golf, I hate to say. It's a really nice place to be. Some of the plastic quality is a bit down, but the new screen, the new active info display with the full nav, it's just like an Audi version. I didn't realise until today that the active info display in the Golf 7.5 doesn't have this full screen nav. So yeah, this is a really impressive cockpit. Okay, this car's a 25 grand car. Now, my choice of car probably would be buying a second-hand Golf GTI Performance Pack, which you can buy for 25 grand second-hand anyway. So that's a much more rounded car, it's a little bit bigger, but if you want a smaller car that's probably a bit cheaper to insure, a bit cheaper on fuel, and has all the benefits of being a smaller car but still pretty commodious, it's a great car, yeah. I think when these are second-hand, obviously they'll probably be 20k, so there's still going to be around 5k difference between this and the equivalent Golf. This is DSG only for the next few months. I think manual will come out later. It's 5-door for the whole time because you can't get a 3-door, but I'm sure that's what most people want anyway. So the gearbox is sweet. The first time I used a wet clutch in a Polo, before it was a dry clutch, which wasn't a particularly smooth gearbox, so this is a lot better. We've got the suspension in the softest of its two settings, so GTIs get a standard suspension you can select. This is either normal or sport, so we're in normal mode with these 18-inch wheels. It's by and large pretty comfortable. Slightly rutted surfaces like that it couldn't really handle very well, but I don't think you'll find this a particularly uncomfortable car. There aren't many Volkswagens now that are. If you've got adaptive suspensions, you can still mess up a Golf 7.5 if you put 19s on it, but this car seems pretty well sorted, and it's good that they don't give people the choice. You have to have this adaptive suspension, and yeah, for the UK roads I think that's a good thing. Probably other markets you don't have to have that. So unfortunately there aren't any particularly good roads around here, so we're just going to have to make do with some roundabouts. So, but it makes a brilliant noise, this does. It does. Whoa, yes, bit of traction control there, but it wasn't cutting the power. It was I think XDS helping us get around the corner. So, oh yeah, I mean, just in those roundabouts you can feel this is a really high performance car, and it's much more fun to throw around than a GTI, which when you get to the end of its grip just goes into understeer or goes into traction control. So there's definitely a lot more potential with this car if you're a keen driver, and I'm very impressed with it. Okay guys, well the big question is, do I regret buying my GTI? Should I have just waited and bought a Polo GTI? Well, the answer is a resounding no. I love my GTI. For what I want it for, it's absolutely perfect. I do have two other cars I can use that give me the thrill. The Club Sport S are a bit more practical. I've got a Mark 5 Golf GTI DSG in the family, which is great for taking my parents out and just driving around town, getting stuck in traffic. But for what I need, the GTI is the car I use the most, and it's absolutely fantastic. If you don't have the luxury of having different cars and you can only have one, and the Polo GTI is a really tempting package because it's a lot faster than the GTI, so you get the thrills of my Club Sport S, but with 5 doors and a DSG box, it's perfectly practical, perfectly livable. You get people in the back without having to contort. It's a fantastic package. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this Volkswizard video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, share it amongst your friends, and please subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one soon. Cheers.